Welcome to the DNP Conversation, a recorded interview series featuring nursing practice professionals from across the country. Our purpose is to share the amazing work of doctorally prepared nurses and how they're making an impact on patient, organizational, and academic outcomes. I'm Dr. Jeannie Corey, formerly Garber. I'm from James Madison University.
I am Dr. Brenda Douglas, and I am from Drexel University. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we are talking with Dr. Linda Roussel, a nationally recognized leader in nursing. She is currently a professor of nursing at University of Texas, Houston, Cizik School of Nursing. She has served as a visiting professor at Texas Women's University, faculty at University of Alabama, Birmingham, and the University of South Alabama, Mobile. She received her PhD from the University of Alabama in Birmingham and is well known as a strong supporter of DNP education and practice. Thank you, Dr. Roussel, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Your text, which is Management and Leadership for Nurse Administrators, is now in its 8th edition. It is widely used across the country. As we find ourselves in this unprecedented era of change and uncertainty, please talk with us about the key factors we should consider to create and cultivate excellence in practice while developing leaders of the future.
Well, thank you, Brenda and Jeannie. And I have the great honor of knowing you personally, and am honored to be able to present. In terms of the leadership qualities that are so important always, but in this time of chaos, are agility and flexibility. Knowing the standards, knowing the best practices based on the evidence are critical to safe and quality environments, whether in education or in practice. So the agility and flexibility in terms of knowing where some of our rituals that perhaps are not value added are really in question. And so our ability to step back, rethink, reframe, it's really critical to, again, not only say quality care, but a healthy work environment. And that is so critical today for our frontline workers, as well as our nurse managers and nurse executives, and also from the academic perspective. And so how do we bring compassion, which is another critically needed quality in our workplace? So not only do we have this work-life balance we talk a lot about, but really a healthy work environment where we appreciate each other and that we see our part and sometimes the chaos and sometimes the toxic environments that sometimes we find ourselves in. Because when we're stressed and we're tired and we're hungry, we don't always do our best work. So again, being able to appreciate ourselves and others that we work with, our patients, our families, and again, understanding that again, not only what we bring to the environment in terms of our own self and our own stress, but also our own ability to be collegial, to collaborate, and to do it in a way that, again, is mindful, intentional, and appreciative. So again, those are qualities that I work on myself every day, with my colleagues as well as my students, again, and understanding, or at least understanding as best I can understand, because I'm not where they are. But again, being able to appreciate and then offer empathy and again, concern, compassion, and being flexible, in terms of assignments and maybe the need to repeat. And goodness knows if redundancy can be a virtue. And gosh, I've got that in spades. Because sometimes when I'm really stressed, I don't hear, and I need it to be repeated in a way that reinforces in a very loving and a kind way and really asking great questions that really bring out the best in all of us.
Excellent. Thank you, Linda, so much. And your comments for that particular question lead us right into the next question, which is now more than ever, burnout, resilience, and mindfulness are frequent conversations in nursing and healthcare across the nation. Tell us your thoughts on the best ways to bring this into education and practice.
Again, there's a lot of really good research, and there's a wonderful, I guess one might say it's a toolkit that the Institute of Healthcare Improvement has put together. It's called Joy in the Workplace. It's really well done, and it's framed on implementation science in terms of the actual development, of the strategies, and again, and the background, et cetera. So there's some great strategies about, being mindful. And there's some exemplars from, many organizations throughout the country that have actually employed some of the strategies that, that's in the toolkit. The ANCC, which is the American Nursing Credentialing Center, and the University of California, Berkeley, have put together a wonderful gratitude toolkit. And that was, again, funded by the ANCC, the American Nurses Foundation. And that has some wonderful examples of, again, bringing this whole joy and really creating cultures of healthy work environments, if you will. So, with all of these, and also, of course, the Critical Care Nursing Association, healthy work environments have been a major focus, because that really talks about that our silence and not communicating, maybe some bad news, but even communicating gratitude and appreciation really has had impacts on our safe environments, our safety and our patient care. And again, their work on silence skills is excellent in terms of ways to communicate in effective ways, to have these crucial conversations. So again, those are some wonderful resources and some strategies. But basic to all that is saying thank you, and truly meaning that and being grateful. I keep a gratitude journal, and I started doing that years ago. And when I started framing my lens of how I see the world, especially when there's such a temptation, to complain, and to see the downside, is just to, again, intentionally, mindfully step back and said, okay, what am I grateful for? And it may sound maybe kind of Pollyanna-ish, but it really did change. And again, I had gotten, it was Christmas probably about 20 years ago. It was called Simple Abundance. And it was really part of my whole gratitude journal. So in my gratitude journal, I keep reminding myself, and I don't really need a lot of reminders, because I know that I have a blessed life, and I have been given an abundance of opportunities and gifts, and paying it forward is so important. So saying thank you and really meaning it, and being respectful, and going into a situation with curiosity, and giving people the benefit of the doubt, because I have been given the benefit of the doubt, and I appreciate that someone didn't assume that maybe what came off might be harsh, or maybe a bit abrupt, again, explored, well, so what's going on? And so I appreciate, again, the non-judgmental approach, and again, the curiosity, being really inquisitive. And so again, that generates good questions. And again, that's always a great place to start. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roussel. This is a challenging time, and health and well-being as a nurse for ourselves is so important, particularly for the art of caring in nursing, but also as we move forward. I'd like to bring in the science. So pertaining to implementation science, please discuss with us about your work in this area and its significance to DNP education and practice.
I really thank you for that question, because this is a when I think about implementation science, I really look at the broader view, which is translational science or translational nursing. And we have done so much work around evidence-based practice and evidence-based uptake that, and we know that it takes 15, 18 years from research to application and to practice. And so I really see that, and I've done a lot of work with evidence-based practice in terms of creating courses, working with DNP students, because that is really, you guys own that work. And so I have been so honored to be a part of that world and a part of the evolution, because what I see implementation science or translational science is really that EBP 2.0. And I believe that the Ohio State University has really done, in Iowa, University of Iowa have done some tremendous work in the whole evidence-based practice arena, again, and moving it forward to implementation, because our evidence today is exquisite. I mean, we've got systematic reviews, we've got evidence-based guidelines, but the implementation is where the mess is. And those are the strategies that not only are based in the science and the research, but also the how we do it. Is it best to do one-on-one, coaching with a patient? What about follow-up phone calls? What about technology uptake as implementation strategies to actually carry out the application that we all talk about? That practice, to shorten that 15, 18-year gap. And so again, this implementation science is about the science of these best approaches. And of course, dissemination, the messaging is all part of that translation. So I have been so excited because DNPs are all about that messiness of practice, the local context, in order to make it real. Because again, it's not just the research evidence, because we know, for instance, germs are bad. So we don't have to talk about why hand washing is important, but why are we not washing our hands? And strategies that increase the uptake for the hand washing, and often knowing that germs are bad, that's not enough. And so the complexity of our work and our environments really necessitate that we have a multifaceted approach. And so how do we put these evidence-based implementation strategies in place so we can actually get the outcomes that are value added and sustainable? So again, it's an exciting time, because again, not only is that science, and it's been around for a long time, but healthcare has really, we've gotten a lot more traction. And I really believe it's because DNPs are doing that hard work, because you're looking at the research evidence. So you have to understand that and critically appraise it, but also the implementation, which is also often the local context. It's the culture, it's the systems that we find ourselves in, or in the teams that we work with, in order to really make it happen. And then again, evaluating it over time and making adjustments, which is really improvement science, which is all part of the translational science. So again, it's a great opportunity, again, to make a difference that's scientifically based, and again, does take into the art that you talked about, Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are so appreciative of your time today. We thank you for sharing so many important messages, for sharing your perspective and helping us focus on what matters, things like gratitude, compassion, agility. And thank you for sharing so many wonderful resources and highlighting the significant work of many. And thank you to our listeners. Nurses across the country are making significant contributions to the health of our communities, to the leadership of healthcare organizations, and to our academic institutions. And now more than ever, it's imperative that we continue to dialogue about what we do, how we do it, and the successes we experience. It's our hope that these conversations fuel and inspire you, just like the one today has me. And let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, I am Dr. Jeannie Corey, and along with Dr. Brenda Douglas, we thank you for listening. Have a great day.
See you next time.